Klabo kale ngit total merkit rogui malungi longe de lurior el al tutawa obangeda chief ra environmental health ra Ministry of Health and Human Services el guk me o ay sergida tetelel tial el pesticide spray ra tokora argas el moraigal venues maigal basyol porngitigal athletes marguk ti okyak sangargid makmul masang elomu rap programmer gide malungit tutaw chief JOHANES
malungit tutaw chene malmasawra te al Palaw radio direktal malungil musap eder kuk lumutel me adu kuk mirabuay lo gyutel radio station kuk ko ay sa kuk urior tolat ka mamrun magel bata start el mrun. So, chen medic go ahead and start tial lurior mama start and ruringi. I believe it's a mandea ada kamlet yang eu aisel girela audio pesticide spray. So, just to give you a little background, ul makadamat mokart yang amal baday bakasel Pacific mini game 2 weeks from today or 3. You gotta expect like 1,000 plus athletes, spectators, maradal kuk ngaray kel belal me omisa ayal klol makadama mal aswara palwadal mal mo tokar adal ngarangi kasi dire kal madangel wase ayal balura taheyo dire kal balura micronesia direct la dire kal ngarigal outbreak ra wadengi kita madik musen dire kal natal dol aswara dengi ra ayal mla momre ra matal doru ringi awal ko di mga sadal malu do kora prevent ayal kita tokorat elela awargas malubong dengue fever sa el duba because ang malmoklo ondib maklo ra belaw so aradak sa metro waisak museng el alwigel which ang ulmura eli aurioral mo apply gel pesticide spray mo ra gero kul shelters el athlete sa mo kiringi maeli sa dalaw ay sila waseng numerek sa school PCC at dormitory ma gel classroom mamla mamerek Maristela elementary school mendiri kan numerek eli el alsil share ada kuk ngara elementary school dire kal kuk spray gel classroom sel working athletes el altutaw ya afternoon ataklo matero ek kuk ngara airport so dire kal kuk mesra airport lege kuk pelsis ba ara adrengi ngara ada congregate lege gidel kuk ngara immigration message package claiming we just want to take extra precautionary measures mga gigil dire kal aerial gibong git spray direct kal lobangel se ay gablal sound dik pol mo kel radio maklat ke so elang Tuesday again makadangara ko elementary school ma airport yak lugo kal Thursday George P. Harris ya afternoon Munes Elementary School ya Friday yung Mid-Senti High School tutaw ya Palaw High School ako afternoon elasel dukuk tabara sabadong which is ang sayamal duul makngartiange kadukuk mamsada igel pesticide application na igel public venues park magel sports facilities malsum kadamor igel park sa kadomes rawa Long Island ikaling ramal Koror Airay Bridge Cycle Park ng Araygay ma Erngul Park baseball field softball field at yung marami yun so ma track and field siya which is at ngaringi mrura opening ceremony ay gigil baby rapasyo ma apara mayong let's say dire kal mo na facility holda lakal bingbong ng wrestling something like that so apa biar na to ng material governor mataawira aurora mamatmok including rabilung malmasaul mga igigida igel do siyang morep trasapado yaun makmetya mal kora asawakal kora di jadi fokus sa elal weekdays sa kora fokus sa gidel weekend ay igel do siyang public areas ng arada congregated of course sa weekdays mal weekend hindi kita expect aradan mo selway sa gidan sawada a message el portable blakatak musin mga uringaringi audiol mo makatmok el alsbado regagi de public venues ya tamal gi molat kalmo conduct tagal spraying el mo regagi del site nga kamna amas ka fabra tutaw so kado mes ra fabra tutaw an mabudol ang reti uklo So telet kaluriyo rawasi. Also ko magikandak tagal spraying let's say more ermut par for example. Ang mas specific agal targets Hindi ka dito bol dito ang spray blokat kal chemicals Mas sumag mo agal pavilion ya kato mes agal evngula table, agal evngula bleachers, agal ngaringa tallo malaringi. Agal all ngaringa arakas.
Sa unma kasi ngaraman titura itself venue alut kom maltega temul spray ra evngel ma every diaham komlas mel diaham misa ni di kura pasyo
masel nga regegi that public places sagi nga regegi ling kada nga regegi dal ko specific areas mo masel kim pamkandak terngi agi mo set tayel sengons makora yellow tapes maradas real mess direct kalmongani tigil do sa traffic malub ta crowd control el nga regel area malsuko mangkuk sa igid mo ututa wara exercise total exercise et nga sa direct kal sa pilit sa porcel bita nga sum nga erngule porcel bita ko kung madalapang ka kami ko murtering mo bitang mang for the safety measures kama madiri kal consider ay gigit ngar adal sel director adal so mangkuk timlakal ranga sitial luriol logical radio so nga igigida igel kuk so mamal kuk ti imas ela sel kuk tabora ermul parke Long Island Coral State Pesticide masel kuk side hindi kal dia gide mo aprat chemical pesticide ti rogi ra paso agi kuk ti target tal si bensyo Michael hand washing stations Michael kuk kora Michael Pavilion, Michael Cook, Michael Tangal Pavilion, Bedio, yung wala table. Michael Cook playground, Michael ko nga tayar ni, Michael Bebe at Michael ko tayar nga ngari milil. Sabi at time sa PL Cook, utala ko raral man, ngari nga araka somel. Mangigay gidi, hindi akim close sa Michael Parks. Agi di set up perimeter around those target areas sel kama mamo conduct illegal spraying.
Eng tela fitta at reader sem spray ya at yan o mil aroider tiyan conal utiyan barricade ringi.
Tira malungil ger I do not have musang tela fit. Diesel kim set up perimeter ngarsay. I get application le kama ma uspe. Ade kalsan mal kora a final omri spray ayol talos singing mul nga lakko ul ko makamilup sa dalom le ko kora di metir mong kwal kora klo amora dalom le ke kare elsewhere pa mang selgim setra sige de let's sing yellow tape around ra let's sing summer house and maybe from 10 feet el mga will be okay application techniques trigal pesticide applicators they are well trained. They know how to position themselves to understand where is the wind is blowing from. Abakartira ngikriya nga manguk kalso ko makadamlo sa igal dalom maaral kadamo ko ikriya arale. While to try to contain the chemicals as much as possible in our area. But of course it's not 100%, so we have to take that extra step balwase. Ngaragel sa edel ko krumun maradal ko ni exercise or mlalil ngalak to get crowd control ngarasi imru ringi malsum ko klil ngalak le kadamlat erngul parang yamlal ngalak kad asker tik musam ofra isir ko ofra isiram lime mlangalak kalmo ngendinam turn on so ngai gida gel kora other style kora a risk come gel ser ada bulu kora musim bainailing sedik musim ay gagamigal se kamatangik mo. It's been a while or it's been a long time hindi ka apply chemical spray at this scale jasen malimis klo marada pagikla mang dirikal ka mo mlingalak ermut par kay mister atakal with a full PPE with a mask and respirator pakpak ka to dal pangidak tirata ngarang ni kita kada matamal hindi ka igal lola bal spray so ay gida igal so ada blue cook first handle kora get the picture of what's going to happen. But we assure you kung sing ayel mo labal marul are very minimal risk ra para dalom la mamorawa ar adal kuk miral ling ngarigel kuk tetele legal udio kim apply. Yang ngarigel kuk kora atoy malubong udio eldub ang motomer ka malubong store ka mandegi po moruring. For example, malimis el masasayol or malimis el kloaul. Es el kloaul spring wal di mode ka tutrel tial el car e presa tial car adri el mo kung kelaral menden Mama, malskum blaring opli, malubang dalo malkal laligang wal dire kat sa el ko contaminated. So ay gigi de gel kora baby ra barriers sa kamam omes wal mo to bara marro kam mo de kim finish ringi magi mo gira mal ko reschedule ringi. So ay gigi de gel lurio de channel mo makatmok sa gidel sa padong ding dire kat so kal di yo gikte al di obang kami let's give our boys and girls from environmental health kudos tamal plakarang ri agal longot mokla of course not only for the athletes merigi del other belaw direct mar adal kera blur belaw katatral ngar segidel to prevention or mitigation mang also kung moringi enguk telgi bengar gel scales of either manage control rather than dia ka doruringi aldo ka mari mission man mo abura aurior marokot to ako na siyang adim lagi de etchen please ang mla step in Mr. Thomas ang I'm sorry Mr. Thomas, I do not know your last name, but I will give you the opportunity just to introduce yourself and he's with the PHOA team. So Lim is also Dr. Lim that came on Monday is his partner. So Thomas, please.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. My name's Tomas Leon. I'm here on behalf of BHOA as a climate sciences consultant and dengue modeler statistician. So we work on this dengue early warning systems project, and I come from sort of the modeling forecasting angle of it.
So you said dengue?
Dengue.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So how long will you be here?
I'm just here for the week. We're trying to support some of the preparation for the Pacific mini games with Calvin's team. And then we stay in touch with them in between, and we work with Yap State as well in Micronesia and with the Marshals, and it's a multi-jurisdiction project on dengue.
So do we have more dengue here? I mean, dengue in Palau or in Yap?
Oh.
Janice is from Yap.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just teasing.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So of those three places, you know, and Calvin can speak to this too, it's much more of like an outbreak situation, right? And so on the Pacific Islands, you know, you're always, especially smaller ones, you're thinking about imported cases. And so when you have these large events where people are coming from a lot of places, some of them may have active dengue, then they bring it, and then if depending on how you're doing with control and spraying and everything, then you could get a large outbreak. But if you're doing a good response, then you don't. So right now it's pretty minimal in all those places, but I know Tonga is having outbreaks, Samoa, but here is okay right now.
Here is contained.
For now, yeah, but again, we're doing some preparation.
So let's say if they have dengue from Samoa and Tonga, that the places that has outbreak, and it's in their system, they can transfer it to us if they're here.
Exactly. So then if they come here and they visit, and it depends on the timing, they have a certain amount of time that they're infectious, and a mosquito bites here and then bites someone else, then it can transfer. And you can get what's called a local case, right? Everyone will have these travel associated cases where they're coming to your country and then they may get sick here, but then it's really when you get those local cases that you're concerned.
Wow.
Thomas, I know you mentioned about early warning system for dengue fever. It's a really good project. We're still developing that project. Do you want to share a light just briefly on what's the project and what's the vision?
Sure.
The project?
Sure. So early warning system, it's sort of in the name, right? Like you want to be prepared, have early warning about potential risk for dengue outbreaks. Actually, the concept is from sort of weather and climate, so readiness for typhoons or similar sort of events. And here it's been moved into the health space, so for dengue preparedness. And so we think about it in sort of like four aspects. One is about risk knowledge, being aware of how much risk we have. And here on Palau, they know quite well about dengue and how it works, and they monitor for it. And so that part is quite in good shape. Then there's the forecasting monitoring part, which is sort of what I work on, which is using available data about from the hospital, dengue cases, from the vector mosquito surveillance, from the climate data, from the demographic population data. How do you use all this data together to do forecasting, which means we are predicting whether we might have dengue next month, next year, how likely that is. So that's the forecasting monitoring part. Then there's this risk communication and sort of dissemination, which is how do we share about our understanding of risk? How do we share about the models back with the community, with stakeholders? And then there's this response capacity, which is based on this knowledge. What do we do? Do we change anything about our practice, about vector control, spraying, et cetera, et cetera? So that's sort of the goal, is that we can bring all these pieces together. And I think there's numerous challenges, and there's numerous analogous projects around the world. There's one in Ecuador, Vietnam, other countries. And everywhere the challenge is similar, because the data sharing piece is quite challenging, and because different teams are responsible for different data. And so how do you bring them together to use all of them holistically? And so part of the vision of the project is how do we think about that for Palau, but then more regionally across the Pacific? Because as I noted, if we have an outbreak in Tonga, then it could potentially spill over to other jurisdictions. And so I think the end goal is sort of this regional piece of understanding the situation, again, what it means for Palau, and how do we think about that risk. Yeah. So that's a short little bit on that.
Yeah, if I may speak Palau.
Please, yeah.
Briefly. Diage chip ang komran masaulen mlame share aiga lenga ki delo senganya outbreak ra Samoa matonga ya kumda sing mal close to telela akamiti apolo de both educator that mar adel mailing el agumeser sele Facebook news ra polabe en mlamo 18 cases ra HIV AIDS ngaring tigel guk maray rapalul de halotengel waseng tasmera HIV AIDS mak gatogora di swadalon ngit wase al sugum ngara kamiti al upo molgora ngara kamiti ra hospital mora Pacific mini games wase maybe en ngaramong kadmora aigal store aigal outlet ngaring condoms mangarang ngaring aigal information ulugong mo sa disseminate mutal refill like aigal stoang maigal pasyo ma maybe aigal villages ling di ato den terira arangal ngal graklokol just to be on the preventive side akumda sing malge the stressing lengaring timra FSM and may de also darangal ge dal goramo o affected ti aigid el gora amladu rabo labe avang
Biak malungil kamna race tilang I learned that very recently early so we know that we are facing mini games just 2 weeks from today I'm sure EOC Ministry of Health and Human Service adiri kalmo explore ay kay kung how we can better or how we can strengthen to address ay kay kora issue yes til amal lungil point but I'm just grateful that we're not doing this alone. We have a team from PHOA. We also have a team from military partnership that also support not only the environmental health but also the medical team. And I know that each team that coming, they will have their own medical personnel like support, but we have all this support around us, and just coming from the environmental health office, I just feel grateful. And we have the expertise coming from PHOA and other places to give us some more insight and technicals on what we are dealing with. So at the very least, we can better manage it. So thank you very much. So again, nakatamal di kauklat ke itchen. But let's not forget it's not the pesticide application that will solve our problem, because the environmental health really itchen netak rang siraw. One time I was attending a meeting ngara Marigel. One or other mother said the environmental health really belongs to the community, local people, not belong to the government, belongs to the people other Kirabalu. We breathe the same air, we drink the water, we get our fish from the water, we get our crops from our yard. So
And we need to
Other
keep our
avenue.
area clean.
Yeah, other Abalu take full
Yeah.
control, responsibility, and they have the ownership
Yeah.
of their surrounding. So the best practice, keep our environmental, sanitary clean. And not only for the reason of minimize risk of mosquito biting and dengue, not that, but to be able to enjoy the livelihood of cleanliness and the fresh air that you breathe, and you feel more comfortable of your kids playing outside. I think the community as a whole, individual, family, continue doing this at home. A simple, if you're, remove any breeding ground of mosquito. Get those away. Get those away. So one family do that, the next residents do that, then imagine the whole community will do that. Then we'll do more. By other environmental health and memory. We will continue providing technical support and the information that is needed for the community to be informed. But the day-to-day work rests on the community. So we need that partnership, understanding. So in line with the pesticide spray, we're going to be doing mosquito surveillance. So we do mosquito surveillance and then we do pesticide spray. So this is how it goes. So let's say PCC, for example, I give them spraying the early Tuesday. Sera Monday, I give them plant mosquito surveillance. I get lomuba arakas. Magimong trap and then I give collector. Sige del early na tutaw. I give plant Monday. Sige del Tuesday early na tutaw. I give mol collect. I get rakas and then I give conduct pesticide spray. And then selgi bomre kay rogoy and then next week and then I cook mo replant a mosquito surveillance I got trap. Almo omes effectiveness ra gal spray blood conduct. So hindi ka dito collect ka selme ID lado tungura pelawa primary vector for dengue ID sa chiptay female mosquito. So I give himal meral tal vector lab kita o vector lab anyways. Kung man mera vector lab kita ngani technical folks will direct matura sa lab matumanguyot ta idea ga rakas mo onggang ngaral species ra rakas malsku mngredi rakas temlet lang. So we also have numbers kita formulate the mobile slide. So we're not just doing the spray only because they are coming. We're doing the mosquito surveillance to give us an idea what are the risk level of risk ng mosquito ng regal area.
Mr. Obora PCC telal patanya la nakasam mo.
Malungil kan din I do not have those info right now.
I'm asking about the surveillance.
The surveillance of mosquito. Yeah. So we did the surveillance and spraying interval. We do plant and then on the day that we're spraying we collect and then we schedule for the post surveillance on next week just to see the effectiveness of the spraying that we conducted and also to have some sort of idea of what were the the risk or how many mosquitoes that Aedes aegypti or at Elmwood Park or at Long Island. So we also work with numbers. So let me
I got same spray. How long does it last? Time same spray. I got pesticide.
Oh, that's a very good question. With our folks, we were looking at 30 minutes to 1 hour. But according to Lim Sera, when he came, once it dry, and when it dry, it can take 3 to 5 to 10 minutes. I'm not dry out. I got much spread 3 to 5 minutes. I'm not dry out. It's already clear. It's safe. It's also depending of the application. Spray it will take a little bit longer than that to dry out. So once it dry out, and then I'm not more clear. So
even if it dries out, it still can have an effect on the mosquito.
Yes, it can have an. Can you elaborate more on that? Because once we apply the chemical pesticide, it can last up to like 30 days.
Right. There's a residue, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, depending on your product and your application, yeah, it's drying, but it's still coated there, and so the contact is still having an effect. And again, depending on the product, it can be days to weeks, and some of them last quite a while.
Nabay din mo rulil every 3 months, 6 months umguktal spray. Hindi ka din milk tal spray.
Hindi kailangan mo kailangan ko raise sa ringiling. On Monday talk show, you asked that question to Sylvia. That, do you have a plan to do the spraying?
Hindi ang goler, amle goler.
It was caller.
Ngaram di klatal ko maamrulay kang esel lakaklatal, hindi ka torulay kang.
So, it's not in a plan to do a spray, but we also use our data to, inform us and to guide us on when to go to that level. So, I got spray. We are doing the spray, like point of entry, like seaport. We're doing that. Like we do a weekly surveillance on mosquito. I get potentially high risk area na paluro. So, I get lang medical outbreak. Kaya kataman kung sa Oriora, total highest cases in dengue. Area number 2, and then the outlying state papalta. So it's already been divided into tier 1, 2, and 3. Aigal area, we're doing mosquito surveillance on the weekly basis. And those numbers of mosquito that we are collecting will inform us that mlampas ra threshold ra ay di sa chip time diak mlamogiril spray agi spray. We've done that right
But to ka rakasara tial port of entry tial la.
Oh, I'm not telling him spray. I'm not telling him collect a mosquito. I'm direct am lapto kay gali sa chip time may gimnet tal gipong spray agi agi one of the important objective or surveillance a point of entry they identify of the new species and so is we only have a vector for dengue, but we do not have the vector for malaria. Anopheles species mosquito magilola pa wa ayang rangkel baby rakte we have a whole list ra yel species ra arakasal nga ra belaw nga ra record ra gid magdadirekal total direkal detect mitigate yel guk import selling ka direkal nga ra cargo direkal so yes
sell gold
Oi manuil tutaw de ko kami agravel video. Ken mit tutaw ka Johannes ngil alta tokta.
Ngil tutaw.
Akol len swagal logestil alwasi. Sel travel vaccine sel mu. Pekal tobra almura outer island ma armet mu material malarngi marsol wow malarngi abramrike. Swako spramam wasi komnari sulche se mo material wasi Segi del vaccine nga raw ulma ka malarngi. Segi del vaccine.
Kam dengan lo sengarang tial vaccine.
Tial vaccine lo larnya. Ada amal trabon seluel oktober vela kung orus. Marsol lao ma era oktober mora trabelu kung segi orus. Ser prevent trangi vil disease. Mendiakal yun morong kala. Oh, LA o ngero. Nsuaga logel kamir wasi. Arkas abal botokol badangel. Nsuaga logel kamir wasi ngaral badangel arkas. Ageris tial. Dengue. Segera kari ke kamol-mol mo kumsula.
I think the vaccine is there a dengue vaccine? He's talking about a vaccine that there's people before you travel, you get that vaccine. I think he's talking about the MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella. Yeah, polio and tetanus, and then there's also the vaccine for hepatitis A and B, typhoid. So,
Jen, I'll be honest, I do not have those information at the travelers information guide that what do they need to have in order to travel to Palau at the campaign of this game. But one of those Tora COVID-19, they need to be immunized before they come into Palau. But there's a lot of different vaccine just for like the flu and cold. Maybe next time asa idal ko invite tigil ko other hospital sales model mo muya to kara vaccine esel ko tungul mo sel wan ra karil nga ruba kal ngam sadra kas museng what type of mosquito so abela wa katamatangek museng dengue fever apla the experience ni for the past 20 years nangaring a series of outbreak leading up to just the one before COVID-19 2018 to 2020 katamatangek museng Aedes aegypti, a female mosquito is the primary vector for transmitting from taking dengue to segi dia target terni dia kangot al disease el kida agora amalat kelwaseng nataladu por abelaw other species of mosquito is a threat beside Aedes aegypti segi dia ko kimo meseng ila time.
Ingara sa kora number 1 al malclorbella wal drakas tiagit and molporingi.
So there's a lot of class of mosquito. We have Aedes aegypti, we have Culex mosquito, so different species of mosquito, but the primary one that is the most common that carrying a very known disease is dengue fever. Zika is also one of them. Malaria is we don't have Anopheles species of mosquito that carry that.
Chikungunya, right?
Chikungunya.
The amazing thing just to say about mosquitoes is they're so local, right? So there's these different species, they have adapted differently, and then even locally, I think Calvin was saying this, but they adapt really well to their local environment and they don't fly very far. So you may look one place and find Aedes aegypti, go to the neighbor and you don't find any, depending on cleanliness of the yard. So they're very, very local and they adapt very well.
Oh wow, so ngal toktang awaseng sabel ngaring yarkas rablik endi oborato naring tiakarkas leng di moyol wasekaw gamalungil mga tmokertial maori rakaw makatamo karagikal mga tmokla maori gide mo eliminate tatokora dengue ay gide rakasel gel goranganya dalwalwaran o mo tangal mangup mang mode hal dalwalwaran maori raplimiw especially el aldo korangar bitara igal blilak lakola makapakay nga sewel lol nga sel tigay gidal adra kamitira mini games lol nga sel eliminate tatokora dengue el aloran mea omral matongot mokla maori rigid ok mo ngar nga karirar ating ngaral number sa paril contactor kami alubang sa paril contactor kami al sumang tokora sa filwase malclor ka sa museum tigel ko kira bitra museum le ela ko ring sa ka katimsal daigal venue di kadam tingel wasen di local ngani tigel ko family rar atal me oyeng rar ngalgi ang adri log soko lal atan asorin mortial le palaw national museum ekotomes sen korang ngani pandaringi man gorati swat local wase museum mengulsi sepertial tial spray
a museum ada kalau ulsi seperti Chen, thank you for raising that. We will look into it, but right now it's not in our schedule. Hindi kita black pass. So let me look into that. And as far as public awareness, ngungil kami research tilang. Hindi rangal kal mo mesage mar adra blul mo mesage gal game kada bandangik mulwasing sel tu tam balul ka pesing kada baby hatta kada man mal aswar apto kal hindi ka tangi kas hindi mal pato ko omang so hindi ka sa dal bukti ni recommend ra adra bluk musik sel bo mesage gal game during those hour al kora tu tam balul kora ka pesing pisang Marigele mosquito repellent. I'm not saying musing roll ada gilil mospel ngari bukla atar.
Ma baby oil mo kotulog.
Yeah, balu rabela umtede kan lospe ang really works. So use those kind of repellents cook at least ang help pam dekal pero mang arakarkas or wear a long sleeve or long pants just to extra cushion mang. So I get the quality so that the legal cook I smart blue am aware. Although the more I get the more I get the venues, Michael Sports Facility, the other blue the legal take that their primary care for themselves. So I gave it a seal.
Yeah, akan namin siya na road park, kaya ice park ati ake.
Yeah.
Di Miralong Island.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Yeah. La ko rati gigi dahil nga niya swam maliit. Edol, would you want to share anything about dengue to our listeners?
Before I close.
Yeah.
Oh,
before we
sure.
close.
I think just to reiterate what Calvin said about, the what you do affects your neighbors so much, and it's really about the community and about the proximity. And so the interesting thing about, dengue is part of what I do is I look at how temperature and rainfall and things like that affect sort of dengue incidents and outbreaks and that kind of thing. And so I guess I would just say, the risk is always changing. And so it's good to listen to communications put out by DEH and others because, their goal, and they're looking at all the data, and Calvin talked about the surveillance data and keeping an eye on that. And I think that's one way to sort of empower yourself. I think he's laid out nicely some preventative measures, and looking at the data and looking what's available helps you make decisions for yourself. And I think dengue is very much that way, just like many other diseases.
Thank you.
Well, enjoy your stay. Thank you for being a part of the show and sharing your insights.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thomas has actually arrived early this morning. And,
Sounds like Glim when they brought him. He arrived early
Yes,
this
just
morning.
drop me off here. So,
Well, thank you for
glad I could
coming.
join, yes.
Calvin and also mal sharing in look tito ko ram rigel tele la spray mangara mal sum nganyar adara ngot el bulu loreng sel quiero velaw.
Okay.
Bol sa baril ko ramo aware tial mo ruringi leng kadam dengan gotel beto kar adara ngot el bulu direct ka exercise al tutaw ma. Tal weekend.
Yeah. So thank you, Jen, for putting that out. I know there's a lot of physically active folks out there, men, women, even kids, like doing exercise. So I just want to let them know that there's going to be an DEH exercise on applying pesticide on the public parks, venues, and sports facilities. So I'm just going to read them out here. So we have Long Island Park, we have Corside and Ironside Park, Track and Field, Asahi Ball Field, Miyun Softball Field, Ngaramayong Center, and also Erungud Park. Erungud Park is very popular for, as most people know, that's where we have our celebration for a night market. People convene there for like an exercise or just selling their market and food. And so those are the areas that we're going to be applying pesticide application. And so just to share, there will be some safety measures that's going to be installed. From those targeted areas that we're going to be spraying will be, there's going to be like a cone and yellow tapes around. We're going to be spraying at very specific areas like under the tables, from the pavilion and summer house, around the plants, around those areas. So there will be a tapes that kind of like symbolize or shows that there's some activities there. Along with that, we're going to have a crowd control, traffic controller folks that's going to be there during those hours that we're going to be applying those pesticide application to kind of direct traffic, advise them on what not to do and what to do. And just, I'm sorry, but the time for the weekend spraying is going to be starting from 5 a.m. in the morning. So we're looking at 5 to 9 or 10 at the most.
In the evening.
No, in the morning.
Just morning.
Morning. So, but it could take less than that. Like I mentioned earlier, that that once you apply the pesticide spray, it can take up to like 3 or 5 or 5 to 10 minutes to dry out. And once it dry out, it's already safe to enter and safe to roaming around it. And also depending on the how much application of the pesticide that you apply, that can vary on the timing. But we're going to be having folks from DEH to be there to remove. So once they remove, it's already be cleared. So we're not just going to put it there and put the timing that after this hour you can start congregate. We're going to have folks to return then remove those tapes. And another tips, just safety measures that I wanted to share is during those hours we're gonna be expecting folks like doing exercise, conveying to those areas for fresh air. And so we just wanted to remind, if we're driving by, turn off your AC. Look for the folks that going to be wearing a yellow vest, and if you see those, they can guide the traffic and what to do. Other than that, the work has already been done. Yesterday we completed Palau Community College, Maristel High School, as they will be utilized for the shelter for the athletes. So we did the pesticide application there. Today we're doing Core Elementary School and airport, and then tomorrow we'll be doing George P. Harris and Mayuns Elementary School. On Friday is Michanti High School and Pala High School. And then and then on Saturday 5 a.m. begin 5 a.m. we're gonna do this on public parks and venues. So we're doing this as part of mitigation or prevention for any sort of risk of of dengue illness, just a prevention. But the most important thing is take care of yourself. From your home, making sure that keep it clean, make sure there's no breeding site for mosquito. Anything that can be collection of water can have the opportunity for mosquito to go and breathe. So that's home. And then moving on to the game. So if you're going to the games, towards the game, especially at night, like early morning and at night time, where in the late afternoon where you see most of the mosquito, feel the mosquito bites. Just a reminder to use mosquito repellent. Some use just a baby oil or Palawan oil, which is more effective to them. Wear long sleeve if you must, and long pants if you must, just to take that extra measures. And agenda, I know that the public reaction as far as seeing our folks from the environmental health doing the spraying with a full PPE, with a mask and gum boots and everything, could be very scary sometimes. That what's going on, are we at risk, is it safe for us, folks exercising? Yes, it's safe. The folks that are applying this are very well trained. Techniques are being utilized to kind of really keep the pesticide really contained. We will be observing where the wind is going to be blowing from and to, so at a very minimal exposure, at a very minimal risk. But of course there will always be a risk, so we just want to be cautious. And so if you are congregating after the lunchtime in those areas, touching things, make sure to wash hand before eat and drink. Those personal hygiene comes first too. So I just want to put that out. So we're going to be do this on Saturday from 5 to 10 a.m. At the most. But once we're done, we're done. Very good. It's clear. So
Saturday would say a last and more spray.
Saturday is the last day, but it really depends on our weather. So if the weather is in our favor, we're going to complete it on Saturday. But if not, we need to push it maybe next week, sometimes in the weekdays. But we already start. We're almost half there, but not yet full. But once it's done, let's rest assured that we did something to kind of protect our citizens and our athletes coming to Palau. So that's pretty much.
Chief, agora mongosimre kotowadim lara togora a pesticide tial sprendi al sun sab kora share ar adal guko magit since kamiwa ulto da permit kora di mo aisar adara baluleng mal moklo klaval el may pol gargit malakal pol sera admang al sab kora di put some 2 cents in
yak masulang malungil gere etchen kada matangel was mal mapato kar adal may dire kan mal mapato ka otre lakal in between the games, even after hours, games during night time. So people are going to be selling food, like pre-packed food, all the way to like pastries and whatnot. So the process goes like this: whether you're going through a Coro State or a National Olympic Committee who's coordinating the entire activity, giri del mer environmental health, and then it apply a permit that har other marula gal la giril ngania food handling ringi giril ngania health certificate ringi, and then ang giri mo legal ba bing prior al mora sige del event ngora turi selling ay gal lurio ram umagit during the game maldim le eroy ta gyoto boto yes sir June 14 amle giril deadline ay gal application submit al mera environmental health ya June 25 el al June say el time gim issue babier
kami ati mo concentrate
di mo concentrate tagal baby raurior med mandia kata salmal mo kora mari ka rapat tokol mang I know other kal mo masam lang ari readings mar ari black di akti reminder other kulwase tirigel malat kal mo umakit ngirel ngari health certificate terkaw ngirel ngari papilingim makatmok before engage into those kind of activity. And let's be careful out there adalong magit. I know doing magit is become part of our daily lives. We practice almost every day, so we think that we know the risk, but we just need to want to recommend the more attentive, careful. With the weather like this, cross contamination can happen. So if you are doing a pre-packed food, let's say kamirula, barbecue plated chen, with a barbecue plate with salad, chicken hato and whatnot, and then you're going to be selling it, making sure that after 4 hours, please put it aside. The mayonnaise in the salad that's spoil. So if you are doing those things that like seafood or things that have mayonnaise, dairy product, ngaringat o mga lokal te, let's say ngora chile or ngaringa ice, it's elok mga malubong warmer, just to prevent those risks. And rather blues il the what say, ngora yai the domes rasta ngamla ngalak kami ate kamu. Again, we remind that we respond to complaint. Idirigal marula spot check. Ngarinya improve. Makalokol. So, this other make sure kung sen akal makatmok la other mamarinya there about say. What are the reminders? And so then make sure kung sen are other take them mang tirika madu but okay, so those are the things for the food safety that we just want to make sure that try as much to prevent any potential foodborne illnesses that from the food that we are making, especially potentially hazard food that contain food allergen like dairy product, mayonnaise, seafood. They need to be stored in a proper temperature. If it needs to be at the warm, they need to be at the warmer. So those are the things that we just want to share.
Morngar at the meal maral lo mesaigal magit and make sure wasing umile.
Why say? So DH is going to be very busy out there. Along with a lot of partners that are willing to help and volunteers that's already giving to support. So during the games, starting from the morning all the way up until like 9 or 10 sa long simregal.
So kamareng asuli de chief tigal baby rabalu tigal nganya diplomatic ties sergit matigal baby ra balul ngal part del Pacific mini games our athletes tira participate kadam laro nga siya Minister Justice wasing hanyar police mel nga sergit ma patokal partner sergit of course sa PHOA magapamal mereng asuli ar other mlalo imoril Pacific mini games committee mal nagut makliaw ng lurir ti ma-PNO si matamal masaul. Of course we wish everybody all the best at tial maral mini games po the gaingase with ngot moklabelwa the klina maoririgit melakal boringi arkas malubang bayablu ulengora mo ringia se swada lorailar okyak sangargit et the amatra urele la agid el other bela makamitil git makliaw ngil Pacific mini games after all kotoring selwase tiay sel got the biggest crowd dara mini games el mlamoringi mang kadamal mereng asuliar adara hospital makamil adara DEH mablila police ra malungi lureli ma of course sa committee ra Pacific mini games ma PNOC ra rural malnam kat moklia doreng sengara erultela el madaningil ata may mang tia de halgora tia klol klaval el may mang kadamal mo osper ngil advertise ra balwat makamal masaul maralol katamralol ngitar maas maruba mar adalo magit telwa se bom gargikra amagit inde alsuadar adapol sera ada makatagu kremula relir adara hospital mo ke pakakla relir mar adara clinic makun mas kaugong mo ay sa deng wal sa etel contactor kami just in case al ngaring ako rangi dilger information okore mo ngosimro kong and thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Fred.
Yeah, Sulang at Chen, thank you very much, Chen, for facilitating our talk show. It's always nice to have to be here with her doing the moderation of the talk show, because it's really explore other things beyond what's already been written in this paper. So I'm just grateful, and I just want to take time just say thank you everyone for not only the folks from the Ministry of Health and Human Service, but everyone that's being very cooperative, compliant, and very supportive. And a lot of the volunteers and the folks out there that really supporting. This is not just for the MOH, MOJ, Ministry of Education, and the committee as a whole, for the Olympic Committee that's responsible. I think this the responsibilities is shared among each and every one of us. So I just want to use this time to thank them, and I'm grateful for their support, especially our folks out there right now, the AH folks led by Lim and Oshiro and Sylvia and Nai, doing the spraying at the school, and they're going to continue this up until Saturday. So I thank them. And then Thomas, I'm grateful that you're here. Yeah, I know that you need some time to rest, but instead you came.
You're an entomologist also?
Like a research scientist, statistician, modeler.
Well, since Chief is here, before
Chief
you
Calvin.
leave, I'm gonna ask him if you and Lim can come and we just do a short talk show, so you guys can share information on insects and climate change and how it's affecting. I think it'll be
great.
nice for our listeners and audience to hear about what you folks do here in the
that'd be fun.
Pacific. Yeah. I think it'll make your trip even worth it. You'll reach more people than just DEH.
It's a great combination and partnership. Different.
Yeah.
Yes.
So and you can come with Chief Johannes here, and if it needs translation, he can translate.
Sure, yeah.
But I think it'll be nice for you folks to come, because we haven't had a show that actually talks about insects and bugs, and so that'll be. I think all the maas is the old ladies. They would they've been complaining about fruit flies. So I'm sure that they would love to hear about fruit flies and how we can eliminate fruit flies in our islands.
Yeah.
Help the Ministry of Agriculture. You guys should partnership with Minister Victor. Marwatar of Kul. But it's just a suggestion. I mean, anytime, even
Sure.
it can be later on in the afternoon, we can work something out.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You see where she's going? She's very diverse and comprehensive.
A lot of
person.
interest, yeah.
Just want to make sure that all walks of different.
Yeah.
Yes.
So without further, Chen, if any questions regarding the pesticide spray, mosquito, malubong, tokaramagit, like food safety, you can call 488-6073 sa Dengwara Division of Environmental Health. And then direct nga rin Dengwara nga kal 75-6073, which is on call almost every day Raya gidal kukura uriyor.
On
So,
dia sising ma office and did 75.
oh, I see.
Dia
So, hindi kay gidal, Chen, again, thank you very much, Chen, and also Palaway Radio for this opportunity. This is not going to be the last. I know there are more coming.
I'm gonna
Till
keep
next
calling
time.
you, bugging you. Hindi ako manusulang.
So, thank you.
Kung marami masalal ko klo, sabi may lopang getar el altutar ti al shorgit, mal masala palau Eco Paradise el guklo sabi linga lopang get spider kamaral masalal blol gora active eko to partnership el guk disseminate the information and morablo. Mal masalang gal toktang ma chief el guklo sabihin mer el alsil se ko nga kita chief el mlakongel wasew era loral pol sabihin mutel me to ko kukto sa dia to sa to ko raw go do team sa daigal me ke karel armarwa baya ma arkas ma fruit flies el commune maas maruba mal somil adara ser sa mal sorri mil loreng sa isela ako ratetele la characteristics rengal fruit flies ako sing mal mo interesting erek mol ngitengi mang mo masya single may sab edela Janice maboki masurat sel upload meselong do eng sab elol ol taigel ko rasya singra fruit flies I'm sure nga niya lola mo mal musulang yali mongot moklama orira abli ma shobar kaw itong mo kergidel gire lakla ataw lel amla o mu maran mer athletes itamal masaular adara Pacific mini games mal committee ma PNOC ma of course ar adara hospital ma pila police ma education al lamot ma airport el lamot ma gekut makliya aw ngiluriore el akadadi mengir sel sidsen may Komal masulang yal ngidir garmim gola 488-6073 al uvang 756073 ra Mr. Chief Calvin Johannes. Komal masulang ya Dios lon mo makngal nga tagidero kuy mapalwat pelaw. Bye bye.